dolores musculares. Ya basta de dolores articulares. Ya basta de sufrir.
Con una cápsula diaria del veneno de abejas, volví a vivir sin dolores.
B-Miracle. Llame ahora y reciba 2 meses de B-Miracle en oferta especial. Ordena 2 y recibe 3 meses de tratamiento. Pero si llama ahora mismo con su orden, recibirá la crema B-Miracle de acción inmediata completamente gratis. Para ese dolor rebelde y localizado que a veces aparece. Pero tiene que marcar ahora. B-Miracle. Una cápsula por día. El milagro de vivir sin dolor toda la vida.
Investing in real estate doesn't have to be a pipe dream, but how do you find, analyze, renovate, finance investment properties without getting ripped off?
Welcome to The New Health. I'm your host, Jessica Preston. Here we speak with health leaders and thought leaders in the healthcare space who are revolutionizing medicine and healthcare for the new health world. Today we have with us again James Maskell, author of Evolution of Medicine and the Community Cure. He's a health economist who is also working on the ground floor with medical providers to be able to help us change the world and the way that we see health. Welcome back, James.
Great to be here with you. Yeah, I'm excited to be back and to talk about, this new paradigm of health. And I would say, to encapsulate, I would say that it's a lifestyle-focused, root cause approach to health. Right? That's really what we're talking about. And as you think about that concept, then you can apply it to all of these, chronic ailments that are plaguing society.
That's a wonderful way to think about that. And where did it start? As opposed to what pill do we use to try to fix it or halt it or see if we can cure it, but it doesn't seem to be working in the space of medicine.
Absolutely.
So I'd love to talk today about mental health.
Yeah.
It's such a big problem.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, there's a lot of things going on, and if we take the new health lens to it, let's talk about lifestyle, let's talk about the root cause approach. What are the root causes of this mental health epidemic? I think there's some of them that can be looked at sort of like the sort of social, environmental, root causes and societal root causes. And then obviously there's physiological things that we can talk about in the body as well. So I think, if we just start back up a little bit, the world is stressful, and living in the world and being part of the world as we choose to be part of the world today through the consumption of media, can drive a mental health epidemic. You think even younger people, like growing up in a situation where they're like, the planet's boiling, there's 5 wars about to happen, there's division not only in society in general, but just think in each family during COVID, right? There was such a big division of different sort of political alliances, and that's reinforced all the time. The division is worse than ever. So you can see, like, from a societal point of view, just living in that society, getting your news from the news media and participating in the world at that level, that can drive, mental health outcomes. I think social media is particularly problematic. It's one of the reasons that I've been involved for the last few years in a school project or an alternative to school project, realizing that the way that we're doing things right now, we might look back in 10 years and go, that was a disaster, and I am not willing to allow my kids to participate in what could be seen as a disaster, or is actually a disaster in doing that. And that's been another project that I've been involved with that has been, thinking about, how I want my kids to experience the world. So, that's a thing that's happening sort of in society. And then if you look at it from a lifestyle, point of view, you look at the, stress and sleep and food and all these things can play into some of the key modulators. And I would say that sort of the number one thing that we're seeing as driving bad mental health outcomes, depression, anxiety, these kind of things, is inflammation of the brain. And I know that's something that you know a lot about and you know have a lot of experience with. But I would say that if you look at what inflames the brain, you know, there's probably 10 things that you could share that do, and things that are happening all the time that affect our physiology like that.
Right, so I think about actually stress and brain inflammation, mast cell activation syndrome, where basically the bottom line is when we're in a stressful space, what happens is there's a chemical response in our brain that causes an release. It's like a histamine release, an inflammatory response, and how that can be a driver for anxiety, depression, but also chronic disease.
Yeah. And there's so many reasons, you know, so many things, and we're really only just starting to understand the physiology. One of the things about functional medicine specifically, and why I think it's, you know, an operating system of the future of medicine, is it understands that the body is profoundly interconnected. And you might think 10 years ago that the brain, you know, if you had a mental health condition, it was strictly in the purview of the psychiatrist.
Yeah.
But the psychiatrist was never taught, because this was not understood, that there is a profound connection between the gut and the brain, right? So is that the gastroenterologist problem? Is that the psychiatrist problem? Turns out neither of them have the tools to solve that problem.
Right.
And actually the super generalist, you know, the generalist, the, you know, family physician doesn't have any of those tools, or even if they have those tools, they can't do it in a 7-minute office visit. And so that's why the new health that's happening in mental health is happening somewhat in mental health therapy offices, because ultimately, like, it's almost like the new primary care, because it's like a primary care doctor, but you get to talk for an hour, right? So that, like, it's falling on those practitioners, but they're not well equipped or even adequately licensed. They can't actually do anything about these things that we're talking about here. And so that's why there's an emergence of sort of a new model of mental health that is coming through lifestyle medicine and functional medicine, where we're starting to see doctors and practitioners and nutritionists and others that really understand that the body and the brain are connected. The signals that go from the brain to the body and the body to the brain through the vagus nerve are actually like modulating health. And that, like, this, you know, we have to take into account all of those things to understand what is the root cause of someone's inflammation of their brain, and then what is the root cause of the depression and the anxiety that they're feeling.
Right, that's a wonderful way to put it. So the microbiome, this is the healthy and unhealthy bacteria that are in your gut, and how they actually can communicate with your brain through the vagus nerve. It's an indirect way, a non-specific way of putting that, but all of our body is interconnected, and it is the specialized, very frequently functional medicine provider or lifestyle medicine provider who's educated in that way that actually has this knowledge.
Yeah, they have the knowledge, and they're, you know, starting to think about deploying it. One of the reasons why I've been really into this community idea is because that community is actually a big driver of it. So, you know, loneliness, bigger driver of all, you know, of all-cause mortality and mental health conditions, more than what you eat and more than, you know, alcohol and these other areas that public health puts a lot of money into. And so I think that those are, you know, those are critical areas. And also, you know, there's something to do with, I think another big thing that plays into our mental health is our feeling of safety, you know, ultimately, and how we feel safe in our world. And if we feel unsafe, that can manifest into a range of conditions. I mean, certainly you can see anxiety. I mean, like, why are you anxious? If people are anxious if they feel unsafe. And so a lot of the work that I've been doing has been really focused on how do you create structures where people can actually feel safe, feel connected, and, you know, that can happen in a community structure, but it can also happen sort of in a doctor's office if a doctor chooses to treat chronic illness in a group.
I think that's great. So I do a lot of work with safety also. We look at the autonomic nervous system, so that part of us, we've heard about that fight or flight part of us, and the rest and digest procreate part of us. And so it's how do we get us feeling safe, meaning in that space that is that rest, digest, procreate space. So, and that has a lot to do with that's feeling safe in ways that we're not even aware. We're not even aware that we're not feeling safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even things like body posture, facial expressions, you know, all of these things are micro signals that all of us are sending out and taking in at every moment, and our body is interpreting them, and we don't know it's happening. And so, we're just starting to understand now the mechanisms of action. But again, I think some of the biggest drivers that we can look at are the lifestyle stuff. So the food and food and mental health is clearly connected, and there's lots of science now, and now loads of books showing the connection between metabolic health and mental health. There's stress, either social stress we're talking about with loneliness and so forth, but all kinds of money stresses, and especially if you talk to men, money stress is a key driver of function. Sleep is a key driver, and so the quantity and quality of our sleep really affects our mental health. And I'm sure everyone who's had a terrible night's sleep and wake up the next morning feeling depressed, that can be super critical. And environmental toxins too, and environmental effects. I mentioned in a previous episode about environmental toxins and affecting dementia, but it can lead to low-level anxiety and depression that over time gets worse and worse. So the other thing on the other side of that is that the drugs that are used to treat these mental issues, the outcomes, like with all medication, you have to think, one, how is this being measured and over how long a time? And then, like, many of these drugs are tested in short windows for short effects, but have been prescribed for years, if not decades. And so there's no reason to think that that's reasonable, right? That something that has been tested in a 4 to 6 week window, how is that going to work at month 9? There's no way to know. It's never been tested. And how is it going to work with 8 other drugs that you're also on? There's no way. It's never been tested. And so ultimately, we're all sort of weird guinea pigs in this. And so the way not to be a guinea pig is to come back to the fundamentals, build a foundation of health. That is the new health. And then if necessary, if you've built that foundation, then to go and seek practitioners and doctors who are trained in this root cause methodology. And there's now one in every town.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And I think it's really important that people are aware that, if you do actually have a mental health issue where you feel like you are having any suicidal thoughts, that you need to go immediately, of course, to your emergency room or call 911. But if we're talking about a mental health position where you're stuck in that space, and people are experiencing mental health issues, this is the way I like to put it. You're out, an hour feels like a day feels like a week feels like a month feels like a year. You're just stuck in that space. So it's really important that we find a way that we can make a change when it comes to mental health.
Yeah, and that change can happen one-on-one, but that change can also happen, in groups. And I mentioned in a previous episode, that my mental health is improved by being part of a men's community and group. And I would also say that, like, as this group has matured and there's a lot of trust that's been built in the container that we've had men come into the group who have, serious mental health issues, and over time have found the safety, found connectedness, found accountability, found support, being able to talk through some of those different things. And now I feel extremely confident that we can take in someone and, mentally rehabilitate them, right? We can mentally rehabilitate a man, and none of us are health. In fact, there is one guy in the group now recently that joined that is a therapist, and it's been amazing for him too. But we have like a container by which we can really affect, and that's something that's happening in community at no cost, and just a group of men, working together to do it. And that's because of the agreements, the connection, the coherence in the group, and then also the process that creates safety and allows men to just be.
And it does come back to community. So thank you so much again, James, for being here with us. Will you please let everyone know how they can reach you?
Yeah, my website is jamesmaskell.com, and my Instagram is Mr. James Maskell, and you can find me through both of those.
Thank you so much once again. Please stay tuned after these messages for our next guest.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks can be a burden. Now, you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen, portable oxygen therapy that moves with you.
With my Inogen, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
Inogen systems are so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen portable oxygen system for 30 days risk-free. Call us right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 800-367-1753. That's 800-367-1753. Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Welcome back to the New Health, and today we have with us Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. Thank you so much for being back again with us, Adam.
Thank you for having me.
So today, I know we had a lot of questions. We have a lot of people that are in the business sector that watch our show, and so we've had some questions come across about business and attachment style and some concerns about bosses, how they present. So Adam, we thought that might be a great topic to talk about today, attachment in business.
I would love that. I'm glad that you guys asked these questions because attachment does directly correlate straight into your business. I have a lot of C-suite executives who come into me. I have a lot of business owners. They own $100 million business, but they're on their third marriage. It's not going well. They've got a $9 million prenup and they need to make things work. But even at work, they're having trouble building loyalty in their team. They're having trouble building connections with other C-suite executives. They've reached the top and they have nowhere to go and they're watching their relationships disintegrate.
Wow, I'm sure everybody is aware. Everybody knows at least someone that has been in that position or maybe in that position themselves. So how do we help these people that are in these businesses with their attachments? Yeah,
so I usually begin with my coaching clients by helping them understand what has avoidant attachment done to get you to the place you are. So avoidant attachment style is a survival mechanism that clicks on during bad environments when no one's going to help you. So what do you do when nobody helps you? Well, you begin working hard, you gather resources, you learn the rules, you play by the rules, you bend them as much as you can, you climb up and up and up, and status keeps you safe, and resources keep you safe. This sounds cold and detached, and it's not. What I mean is you start climbing, you start advancing, you start growing, you become top of your field, you are driven, you are high performance. The high levels of cortisol in your brain block most bonding, but that prevents you from getting distracted. You are able to work 12, 15-hour work days for years on end. And other people say, how are you doing that? And you say, why are you not doing this? This is the way to win. And so you grow and you climb and you reach that upper level. And once you hit the top of that mountain, you look and it's just empty and there's nothing there. You now have to live on top of a windswept mountain alone, just staying there. And you realize that other people are only loyal to their paycheck. Your team is not really loyal to you because you haven't formed those bonds. You don't really know how to connect in a sustainable way with the other C-suite executives at the top, or your board maybe. Your board members don't really know how to connect with you. There's no trust there. It's now an endless politicking at the top over and over and over. Everybody else forms cliques. Everybody else seems to bond without you. You can't really get somebody to mentor under you. You can't form a successor properly. You're wondering, what is the end game? What have I done this for? Is it just going to be this for the next 20 or 30 years? That's the problem, is the second half of your career, the second half of your life. That is the issue. How do I stay at the top once I get there? Otherwise, you fall all the way back down.
So I see two things here with this. One is, how do you stay at the top? But the other is, with building culture and community in your corporation, but then also in your home.
Absolutely. Well, and there's a whole problem of, if you're avoidant and at the top and a leader, now you have a complete army of young people marching into your offices right now who are overwhelmed with their feelings, and you're going to have a very hard time connecting with them, building that corporate culture, really bringing them into the team. It's going to feel exhausting and overwhelming figuring out how to try to integrate everybody's feelings. So you need to understand how attachment and human bonding is supposed to work so that you can properly build that into your corporation. The US military does this fantastically. They have to integrate everybody's feelings in, or disregard those feelings, but not necessarily, not shut people down. What you need to do is foster a transparent and more secure connection in your business relationships. What that means is understanding what people need from you, understanding what reciprocal relationships look like, understanding the level of context you are supposed to be sharing, understanding even how to go to somebody successfully with a problem and not sound like you're complaining or weak, but to get a solution and build a collaborative solution together so you can vasopressin bond at the top. Your bonding with other executives or with your board members will be vasopressin bonding instead, but that's by solving problems together. And most avoidant people up at the top, they don't know how to open up about problems, so they solve them alone, silently, in the dark, and they never vasopressin bond with anyone. This is why no one trusts you, and it's why you don't trust anyone else.
Now, do you find that these corporate leaders that are in this space find that this is a waste of their time?
They feel like it's going to be. And I can't fault them for that, because it feels like endless emotions and goal moving and just being drowned in other people's feelings, which is going to bring down numbers, bring down productivity. It's going to be endless wasted resources. And if that's the case, you are doing it completely wrong. What you need to do is initiate proper oxytocin and vasopressin bonding within your company. I guide a lot of executives to do this, and their productivity numbers actually go up because everybody now is fulfilled and bonded, so they feel connected. It prevents that massive turnover rate, that revolving door of people coming and going, but it also improves people's loyalty to you as their leader. They actually see you as a leader instead of as somebody who's managing them and giving them a paycheck. So then when they get that sweet offer from another company, you don't lose your best talent, because they say, no, this is my guy, this is my leader. I follow this person because of these things. And they don't say, oh yeah, a paycheck is a paycheck. If you want that loyalty from your best talent, you have to build proper bonding or your company will go under.
Well, we know that we're seeing so much of an issue with corporate leaders retaining that talent. So where would you recommend people start if they needed a starting point to be able to start moving into this space?
Yeah, so give yourself a quick check. Do you often accidentally hurt people's feelings and not know how to make it better? Do you struggle with understanding how to properly bond someone to you? Not with dopamine and quick little rewards here and there where you have to constantly drip feed, but really bond someone to you in a hierarchy structure. Do you know how to soothe someone's feelings enough without being engulfed by it so that they can get back to being productive and they're actually happier than they were before? It's not placating, it's actually improving and making them resilient. Do you know how to make your corporate culture, your company culture, resilient against stress so that when you hit big projects, You actually perform better together instead of everything falling apart and now you're crumbling and you're on a deadline. If you can give yourself that test, if the answers are no to all of those, you definitely need to do this work for yourself and for your company. That's what you can do.
And then how do they open that door with themselves in that? Are there programs? Can they reach out to you?
I had a coaching client come in recently, and he wanted to revamp his entire company according to a more secure structure. Not feelings, but secure structure so that everyone would properly bond. He had to begin with his core personal relationships with the men in his life. Same-sex friendships had to start, and then he had to start trickling that into his romantic life. As he did that, he saw and felt the principles. Then he said, this is what everyone below me in the hierarchy needs to be feeling. Now I understand it. So then he could pick and choose the conversations he would have with people throughout that structure of, let me help you feel safe in our bonding. We talked about emotional relationships, emotional communication. I want you to feel safe in our company. What will help you do that? Well, these 3 things. Well, 2 of those are perfectly reasonable. Let's begin there. Let's do that, and let's really take care of you. Oh, thank you so much. That's how you really make people feel cared for in your company. You soothe their feelings. You give them a few things that you probably were going to give them anyway, and you watch their boost go up. And that's how this is the imaginary soft bonus that you give to people in your relationships and in your company that keeps them around. You have to give them a soft bonus, not just a hard bonus.
That's great. This is so fascinating. So one thing that you just said in there is you start with your personal relationships in working on your attachment,
right,
and then you bring that into your business. So let's talk about that a little.
If you are an avoidantly attached person, you've had high levels of cortisol, you're on the dopamine cortisol pathway. High levels of cortisol, you binge dopamine occasionally or tactically use it to bring your nervous system down, but you don't have really access to oxytocin, vasopressin, serotonin, or GABA. We've talked about these extensively in the previous episodes. Please watch them. They're helpful, but you're missing those 4 big brain chemicals or at very low levels of them. And if you don't have that, then you're trying to make people feel something you've never felt. You cannot do that. You cannot engineer that outcome if you don't even know the outcome you're trying to achieve. So you need to experience that a bit first in your personal life so you know what you're aiming for. You cannot show someone the color red and explain it to them without having seen the color red. So feel it first, experience it just a bit, and then learn how to engineer it so that people can feel it. And it's not manipulation, this is persuasion, and it is boosting your success as a leader. That is mandatory.
So we have just a few minutes left, but switching from that business to personal, as you said, this massively successful business, yet on their 3rd divorce and $9 million prenup and all of this. So basically, at that point, when they're in this business space and we're looking at these relationships, how can we transition in? I mean, I know that feeling of being so solid in my professional space, and then I look at home and I think, that's kind of a mess. That's why it's easier to be in the business lane.
Yes.
So how do we help these people?
Well, recognize that you will not always be happy and successful in the business lane, because that eventually will fall apart too. Don't rest on that, and that's not me fear-mongering. I've seen it a million times. David Brooks has the book, The Second Mountain, about how the second mountain is coming. The personal life is going to be big. You must fix this. So learn to fix that, number 1. Learn that it's important. Don't rest on it. And then number 2, as you ease into those relationships in the personal life, learn who not to trust first. Learn who not to trust. Build your protective barrier first. Build that first, everything else will feel safer from there, and then you can begin selectively trusting the right people. Learn who not to trust. That's the key. Most avoidant people don't know who not to trust.
That's so interesting, because it seems like they don't trust anyone.
That's why they never trust anybody, is because they don't have the proper filtering system for who not to trust, so they can't trust anyone. So when you learn who not to trust, the proper filtering, a few people come through it successfully, and then you can bond with them.
Okay, and does that become pretty clear to them?
Absolutely.
Who to trust, who not
Very
to
fast.
trust?
One coaching session, and I can usually take care of that with most people, about an hour, and then they use that filtering process for the rest of their life. That is what you must do first.
Wow, I wish we had time to go through that too.
Maybe we'll do this again, and we'll come back.
Maybe we will, because we're down to our last minute. So we are on our last bit of time together, Adam. What is the last bit of advice you'd like to give our audience here?
If anything has resonated with you through this series, you can fix it. Do not feel like this is your astrology signs, the star you're born under, and you have to live this way forever. You don't. It is fixable, and you can fix it fairly fast. It is really how fast you want to go and the experiences you're willing to have. Boost it, fix it, make your life more secure. Everything improves.
Thank you so much, Adam.
Thank you.
Will you please share with everyone how we can reach you?
Absolutely. One more time, I am Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. You can find me on adamlanesmith.com with my courses, my coaching, my community, my book. Everything is available there, and I'm on every social media platform. Just search Adam Lane Smith. I will be there. Reach out. Please don't hesitate. I am here to help.
Thank you again, Adam.
Thank you.
Thanks to Adam for this wonderful series on attachment styles. It's been really enlightening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Come back after these messages to join us with our next guest.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you. Call 800-749-7781. That's 800-749-7781. Call now.
Investing in real estate doesn't have to be a pipe dream. But how do you find, analyze, renovate, finance investment properties without getting ripped off? My name's Andrew Glisson. In 4 short years, me and my team built a portfolio of 200 rental properties in multiple cities as a hobby while working full-time. We took all of that experience and built a mentorship program called the Victory Strategy to unlock every step of investing in real estate. If that sounds like the opportunity you've been waiting for, look us up at thevictorystrategy.com.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99, and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number.
Call 877-930-3491. That's 877-930-3491. Again, 877-930-3491.
Welcome back. We're back today with Dr. Heather Gessling of Gessling Family Wellness. Thank you for joining us again, Dr. Gessling.
Glad to be here.
I would love to talk today about the big C, about cancer, and how that's something that you work with in your clinic.
Yeah, we see a lot more of it now, don't we?
Yeah.
There's so many reasons for that, and I think that we are exposed to an increased level of toxins in our food and pharmaceuticals, in our environment, and what is happening, I think, is the impact on our mitochondria. And mitochondria are organelles, which means they're organelles inside of the cell, which means it's a subsegment of the cell. It has the function of generating energy, ATP, adenine triphosphate. And at the end of the electron transport chain that occurs in the mitochondria, you generate that energy molecule. But you need that electron transport chain to be functioning really well in order to prevent chronic disease, or cancer. And chronic disease happens, or cancer happens, because of the effect that energy depletion has on our immune system. And our immune system is the frontline defense against infection and cancer. We have to have our immune system in top-notch shape in order to fight against cancer. We're fighting against cancer all day. I mean, our body is doing an amazing job of finding old cells and getting rid of them, which is autophagy, which is one reason why I think everybody should really look into intermittent fasting, because intermittent fasting or prolonged fasting, if it's right for you, can also have a big impact on your body's ability to fight cancer, because of the fact that it just takes away from the body having to deal with food and digestion, and it can focus on healing. But back to sort of that mitochondrial issue, if we're in an environment where we're surrounded by electromagnetic frequencies, 5G, all of this has such a stress on our body and can deplete us of electrons. And then the mitochondria don't have what they need to function fully. And when your mitochondria are not functioning, your immune system doesn't function fully. And so that leads, like I said, to chronic diseases, diabetes and hypertension, and issues with your ability to fight infection, and issues with your ability to fight off cancer. So I don't know if people have heard of this concept, but this concept of grounding is so incredible. I just love it, because it's a whole free, easy way to help heal your body. And so I ask my patients in my clinic, do you know what grounding is? I would say about 30% do, but most don't. And I say, let me tell you, let me explain to you how amazing grounding is. And I tell them that the earth is negatively charged, and if you just go walk out on the ground, with your shoes off. Well, they actually have shoes now that are grounding shoes. I see the advertisement all the time now, and some of them are cute. So you can walk on the earth and get those negative electrons. When you're at the beach, you're just surrounded by negative ions. When you're falling water by a waterfall, and so you can feel that energy. I mean, you feel good when you're around that. And one of the reasons is because it has such an amazing effect on your ability to heal. You can buy grounding mats where you just, if you're sitting at work, your feet are on that grounding mat, giving you that free flow of electrons. You can buy grounding sheets. And people are like, what? That sounds crazy. But people can really feel so much better with their aches and pains, arthritis pains, sort of that, waking up after 40 feeling can be really improved if you use grounding sheets. I have them on my bed, and I really I wouldn't go without them. I also, in my clinic, have a new technology. I think the machine itself is ion rain chair, but it's a disc that people sit under, and they just are flooded with negative electrons. And I would say within 30 seconds to a minute, people immediately feel better. If they have a headache, if they're just fatigued, they just immediately feel that infusion of energy. And it's lovely to be able to, give your body what it needs to function efficiently.
Well, and there's real scientific data. This isn't, grounding is not.
No, it's
not new.
It's not new.
And there's real, and I've seen a lot of the video study about looking with, meters to be able to check on, sheets and grounding mats and the polarity of the earth and how that is helpful in resetting us. And we sleep better. When we sleep better, our immune system is boosted. Our mood is better. Stress is less. Our immune system is boosted. And so we're doing all of this to help support our immune system as a prevention for cancer and other states of disease.
Yeah, your immune system is crucial. So when you think, I really don't need that 7 to 8 hours of sleep, or, I can just run on empty all the time, or I can just have this chronic stress with no effect. It's not true. Yeah. Your body needs to be able to be away from that fight or flight state. That fight or flight state, which we pretty much all would be walking in if we weren't intentionally recognizing how bad stress is, can really impact your immune system and lead directly to cancer formation.
I think we're beginning to realize that stress impact, and we're in a society here where the more stress we seem to be able to bear, it seems almost to be a badge of honor.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like you're Superman, Superwoman, and you can handle it. You don't need that sleep. How many things can you get done in a day? You know, it's the opposite of what we need for health and vitality.
How do you help your patients flip that script?
Yeah, I tell them, you know, that mentality, that sort of American mentality, get as much done, you know, how many businesses can you own, or how many hours can you work in a day, how much money can you make? It's a harmful construct.
How do we help people put self-care on the wealth aspect? When we're talking about being wealthy, it's you know, everyone thinks of money or things and status. How do we build that for ourselves? How do we help people with that?
Yeah, so in my practice, I have seen that it takes just consistency of sort of pushing that concept that it's not all about, you know, you have to flip that paradigm. You have to realize that your health is the biggest wealth. It really is. And if you don't have health, what good is it all going to do you? And so being able to reverse that thinking, dial it all back and take a deep breath. And I recommend several books. One of them is The Healing Code. I love that one. Another one is The Biology of Belief, and you know how your mind can have such an impact on your body. And if you don't recognize that, and that a stressed mind is going to cause a sick body, then you're just going to have development of chronic diseases.
You know, I think of the saying, you can have all kinds of problems until you have a health problem, and then you only have one problem.
That's right.
So we need to remember that and build that into our wealth plan. You know, what we're going to be passing on to our children, because our children don't need us to be unhealthy.
Oh yeah,
so
exactly.
Healthier we can be in all of those aspects.
And there is I have a new type of lab that I'm doing in my clinic, and there's a few of them. There's 2 or 3 of them out there, and they're sort of liquid biopsies, and they can catch problems really fast as far as cancer goes. And you can have a number. You can be given a number of circulating tumor cells, and it can tell you what is the primary type of cancer. And then it can even tell. And this is a liquid biopsy. This is, you know, whenever I send patients for labs, they think, oh, I'm going to be able to detect cancer. Well, not really. No. It doesn't happen. They think, you know, if I call them in to talk their labs, then I must be telling them that they have cancer. It's not the way it works. But there are really good labs out there now that are able to detect cancer really early on. And then not only that, they do sort of a culture and sensitivity on those cancers, and they can say, what will work against it, both mainstream and alternative, which is amazing.
That's incredible. I didn't even know about that. And is it an expensive test?
It's about $1,000 for the circulating tumor cell detection, and then it's about maybe $1,500 to $1,800 for what's called. I do it with a company called RGCC, and it's the Onconomics Plus test, and it can give you that culture and sensitivity.
That's particularly for people who are high risk or high anxiety or both.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So if they have that high anxiety that they are going to develop cancer, you know, it's priceless to be able to say, it's good, you're good. You know, we're not detecting anything. And so that can have such an impact on their health, just to be able to have that piece of paper that says that there's nothing there.
And the flip side, if there is something there,
take care of it early.
Early, and early intervention is key when it comes to cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's perfect. I love that. I'd love to learn more about that, actually.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
It's a really neat test.
Thank you again for being with us here today. Will you please let everyone know what you're working on these days and how they can find you?
Yeah, so if you're in the state of Missouri, I am a direct primary care provider, family medicine, and you can find me at GesslingFamilyWellness.com. I'm also in a partnership with Christian Elliott at Healing United, and it's at www.healingunited.today. And we do free webinars for detox, and we do intensives for detox as well.
You have a detox program coming up?
We do have a detox program.
Okay.
We actually are doing one of the webinars I think, well, we're doing it in September, and then I think another one in October.
Wonderful. Okay, and they can find that on your website?
On the website.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Come back with us next week?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming. I've learned a lot today.
Yeah, good.
Thank you. Please join us back after these messages for our next guest.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you. Call 800-749-7781. That's 800-749-7781. Call now.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Welcome back to The New Health, and with us again today is Dr. Cheng Ron from the Texas Center for Lifestyle Medicine. Welcome back, Dr. Ron.
Thank you so much. We're having fun.
We're having so much fun.
So much fun.
So we were talking before about AI and health.
Yeah.
And I know what some of the work you're doing, or all of the work, a lot of the work you're doing at Texas Center for Lifestyle Medicine has to do with lifestyle, which includes, we've talked about sleep and moving your body, nutrition, and also you are working with some mind-body medicine. And I would love to know about mind, body, spirit, and how that actually works with this AI component.
Wow, yeah, it's really compelling when you start with a story. So I'm gonna start with a story.
Please do.
In 2018, when I was looking at what factors are actually affecting chronic disease, and we find that people were having significant life situations, whether it's a marriage, divorce, death in the family, et cetera, that requires someone's belief system to be almost uprooted, and them going through that actually decrease the expression of disease, whether it's diabetes, cancer, et cetera, autoimmune disease, right? And so, fast forward to right now, like from then until now, I like to invest my money in things that actually make a difference for people. And, it started with some supplements and stem cells and all regenerative stuff. And then we got rid of a lot of that components and focus on relationships and spirituality. And no matter what a person's religion is, you can be spiritual. And what we understand, that spirituality is sort of a pathway of transcendence into almost a different type of identity, if you will, an identity that serves someone really well. So when we see people go on that path, cholesterol starts improving, diabetes markers starts improving, the liver enzymes start improving, like all these things start improving. And so are there clinical studies that's done on this? The answer is yes. So a lot of mind-body medicine, which is mindfulness, breath, movement, Tai Chi, Qigong. We have all that at Texas Center for Lifestyle Medicine. The people who go through mind-body medicine have dramatically decreased hospitalizations, decreased Medicare expenditure on their health, decreased ER visits, right? And so it's really compelling. It is really compelling because this is really the answer. The answer of chronic disease is to teach how to let humans be more human. And that is the key here for longevity, and that's the really key here for the impact of healthcare. Now, back in the day, we didn't really have AI and all these tools and stuff back in the day, but we had ML, which is machine learning. At that time, I created an initial program, which now looks ancient, that looks at these factors, and the machine, the computer will tell me what factor to focus on to build programs under for Texas Center for Lifestyle Medicine. So I'm a big data nerd, if you will. Fast forward to now, we have the ability to integrate with AI systems, large language models like OpenAI, which makes ChatGPT, and other large language models. We're able to basically like hit enhance on everything that we've really built. So the AI is able to really identify, even through notes or the patient talking, what their spiritual foundation really is. So we as a group, we honor the spiritual foundation first. Like that's ground rules, right? So we honor that to create this sense of safety. So guess what the AI is doing? The AI is saying that, hey doc, if you actually do this, the patients get better faster without prescribing a single drug or supplement or a diet or anything like that, right? And so that's where the aha moment comes in, is that, oh, we teach humans how to be more human and connect and do more human-y things, right? That is gonna dramatically affect chronic disease states, which is the whole basis of where us being spiritual and us being aligned with our mission and purpose and mindset really comes in. And I have to give a lot of credit. I have to give a lot of credit because I've had a lot of training on this, from Tony Robbins to Simon Sinek and all these great leaders in the world. So I take a lot of my analysis in motivational, interviewing motivational talks into the medicine space and develop that as the foundational language to keep that safety and security there. And now that we have the AI, we actually do a whole lot better. The AI is able to listen to how people are speaking and say that, okay, well, this person is this way because of X, Y, and Z. They might be triggered because of this, and they may have resentment because of this. And it puts it into a humanistic spiritual context rather than a diagnosis code or a disease state, which is too reductionary in my opinion. And that's I think the beauty of practicing medicine in the technological world.
So I think what's fascinating is we're looking to the computer, to AI, to help us become more human and kind of pull together. And you said it's listening to the nuance in speech, the cadence of speech,
cadence,
the tone,
words,
words that are chosen, and then that's pulled together as these are the micro. What would you call it?
Well, it's actually listening to both sides. It's listening to the interviewer too.
Oh.
So it will give me a grade. It'll say, hey, like this is your cadence, this is your speed. When you mention this, you trigger the patient to do this, right? Like do better.
Oh, that's so good. And so do you reflect on it? Like do you go back and you watch and listen?
I love it. You know, I've been trained in body language analysis and neuro-linguistic programming like for most of my life. And so like this is the thing that really like allows me to kind of bond and connect with people. Like the whole point of this is connect better with people without resentment. Because you know we've all had traumas in our lives, and there's things and experiences, smells, touch, sound that can trigger us, right? But the AI actually picks it up like really brilliantly within interviews. And guess what? The AI is also programmed in the patient medical history as well, what they've been through. 2 days ago, I had this. I had a little revelation from the AI, is that this patient came in wanting her hormones done, and she wants to do it now. I want to do it now, right? And very aggressive. And then what happened is that the tone, someone's tone, is like this traumatic tone. And then the AI prompted me to really ask, hey, what really did happen with this patient, even before I saw the patient. It turns out she had a miscarriage recently. She was blaming herself a lot. So I come from the sense of empathy. So I'm not going to be triggered on something, right? And so this is why AI can teach humans how to be humans, because AI learned from all human knowledge. And so all AI is a reflection of humanity, right? And so we're getting the AI to extract how humans can connect, and we're just really learning from our past ancestors, to be honest with you. And that's what AI is.
So this is great. So you can learn from this. I love this whole concept of AI teaching us to be more human. But also I think that and please correct me, but with AI, we're not really going to get mad at AI. We're going to say, okay, we're going to listen to it, listen to our own reflection in those words, in that communication you've had with a patient, to say, okay, I need to do better, be better. And then I'm sure you've seen over time in interaction with that same patient that things go better. So it's proving itself. It's proving itself to you that it's actually working in this way.
Yes, and it allows us to connect deeply and meaningfully, and especially before they show up to Jenny Moreno, who runs our mind-body medicine programs. She's reading what the AI output is there, and she deeply understands the patient, welcomes the patient in, hey, I'm so glad you're here, right? It's easy to teach compassion when you're grounded or learned about the knowledge of what people are going through, because suffering is the same for all humans. Doesn't matter Democrat, Republican, religions, gender, doesn't matter. The idea of suffering is the same. And I came into medicine to really end suffering, but I see technology as a way of doing it much quicker, like much, much quicker than previously. This is why I'm excited about what the future lies for technology and medicine.
So you had mentioned spirituality in here,
Yes.
and I'd love to talk about, does AI have a handle on spirituality?
So I just gave this talk at a council called the Sacred Health Council, which is a mixture of physicians and spiritual leaders and shamans and stuff like that. And we made the council, so we kind of wanted to decide where humans are actually going. And so most of the people there fear AI, but I gave a little demonstration. We did a breathwork and mindfulness experiment where we had people go through visions and breathwork, and the AI was able to analyze someone's vision, the person who was next to me, by the name of JP. And JP basically told us like what he saw as a vision, and it connected this to other great leaders who have similar visions in ancient history. Right?
Wow.
It connected to what this vision can possibly mean in all of human knowledge, right? And all of a sudden you see patterns in visioning that are right here. So it's not just some random vision that JP had. There's a lot going on there. And the AI is able to analyze that. And so I did that with a few other people since then, in analyzing the vision. So we had vision that going back into Viking cultures. We had visions going back to ancient Chinese cultures, right? So allows me to explore like ancestral inheritance of ideas, right? But the AI is there for pattern recognition. It's for learning for pattern recognition. I want to learn from my own patterns. It makes me much more deeply and spiritual. And the other thing is I'm a retreat host. So I take doctors and business leaders on retreats, Costa Rica and everywhere like that. So this last one was the very first retreat where the AI was a participant, right? And the AI was able to understand what people were going through, the sharing circles and stuff like that, and have brilliant, brilliant insights as to what's going on, reflecting it back on ancient human civilization.
It's got to be validating to have that, to say, oh, what I'm thinking is not a new, it's not a new thought. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing abnormal. This is a pattern and thought process that's been happening over time.
Yeah, and once again, AI is not like some random thing. It's a reflection of humanity. And we have to treat it as a reflection of humanity, because the AI pretty much is trained on all human data sets, right? And so the AI is the mirror. We're like, reflect back to me, right? But the AI is also a time capsule, like historically what's been going on, right? And I think it's a lot of fun when you think about it in that regards.
That's incredible. Thank you so much, Dr. Ron, for being with us again today. Will you please let everyone know a little bit about what you're working on and how they can find you?
We continue to work on AI integration at Texas Center for Lifestyle Medicine. So you can find me at texascenterforlifestylemedicine.org is the medical practice. You can search my name, Cheng Ron MD, on LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube as well. For the healthcare professionals who are interested in AI, my nonprofit, the Physician Transformation Institute, we make continuing education sequences for doctors, nurse practitioners, dentists to go through to learn about technology, also spirituality and stuff like that as well at physiciantransformationinstitute.com.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us this week for the New Health. We'll see you next week.
This has been a NowMedia Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks can be a burden. Now, you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen, portable oxygen therapy that moves with you.
With my Inogen, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
Inogen systems are so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen portable oxygen system for 30 days risk-free. Call us right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be